and gents, we've had the qualifying session for the Chinese Grand Prix and we've got a completely different grid to what we had for the sprint race. It's so close right up at the front. Just a bit of catching up for the sprint. Jack Doohan, who I said would get a penalty, he's got a 10-second penalty, so that's added to his race time, and 2 penalty points on his licence. Nothing crucial just yet, but that will add just another thing in the mix, isn't it? You don't want to get too many of them. As we've seen, Kevin Magnussen got a penalty, first guy to do that, missed the race in the end last season, didn't he? So needs to be a little bit careful. We don't want to be picking up too much of them so early in the season. And let's get to the Q1 session, and wow, things just looking really, really tough for Liam Lawson. He's last in that Q1 session, just really struggled. He just admitted it was all down to him, struggling just to get confidence in that car. And how many drivers now will we see get into that Red Bull and just say, just can't get the confidence in it? It's such a twitchy car up at the front end. It works perfectly for Max Verstappen and his driving style, and everybody else that goes into that second seat. It is almost like the cursed second seat. Do you really want that second seat when it's so heavily favoured in the way that Max drives, so twitchy? You've got to be either drive the complete exact driving style of Max Verstappen, which is so unique and which is brilliant because he's a 4-time world champion on the trot. It works fantastically well for him, and it's quick. We've seen McLaren, it seems like when you get to the end of the where you can take these cars, the cars do become twitchy and difficult. That's what's happening with McLaren. We're seeing Lando Norris saying, just build the fastest car, and it is twitchy front end. It's just the way of these regulations. They'll be glad to know that it's the last year of these regulations, so as long as you can see through this into the next season, it'll might reap the benefit of a completely different concept of the Red Bull. But so far, it's 2 races in, and well, 2 absolutely dreaded, hasn't it? 2 back-to-back qualifying sessions where he's been right at the back, and it's just down to just not getting the car underneath him. He was just not quick on any of the laps that he pulled off, and the big, bad performance of the Q1 session. Gabby Bortoleto, 19th place, Doohan, 18th place. He had a spin in that session as well. Ollie Berman in 17th and Pierre Gasly in 16th. So 4 of the rookies take up the last 4 places of the grid. Them 4 down into turn 1 will be absolutely cracking because they've all got an awful lot to gain and a lot of pressure on them already. The star of that session, Isaac Hadjar, P2, and that was just showing what set up early doors, what was a brilliant qualifying session for him in the end. Lando Norris was fastest. McLaren's coming back to where everyone sort of really expected him to be in the sprint qualifying. Isaac Hadjar second and Yuki Tsunoda in third. That Red Bull or Racing Bulls is brilliant actually, isn't it? It's so strong. They've done a fantastic job. The head of the Alpines, they look best to the rest by a country mile, and they're beating some of the top 4. It's so close, so difficult now up at the front, and these guys, both of them, Isaac in particular, we're a rookie. This guy has shown he's got pace, 1 lap pace. I said that in qualifying for Oz. Yes, disappointing in the race, never got to show what he can do race-wise, and really hope he can just sort of keep it on track, at least to show us what he's got for race pace tomorrow. But absolutely brilliant over 1 lap. He beats Yuki Tsunoda, which is no mean feat. We know what Yuki does to his teammates. Jumping into Q2, and Carlos Sainz, 15th place, was another difficult session. He sort of admitted coming into the weekend he's not really at home yet with this Williams. Understandable. Anybody that's gone into a new team is struggling. It's a massive change, so much to learn. Even Lewis Hamilton saying, look, people that are commentating and yapping that he said, that's probably everyone that sort of talked about how he struggled in Australia, doesn't understand how difficult it is changing teams, different power units. He's got the complete opposite effect of Lewis Hamilton. He's gone from Ferrari to a Mercedes engine, one that he's driven before, but has he? No, he was in Red Bull before that, wasn't he? So no, he hasn't. I thought he was Williams before. It wasn't. He's a completely new engine for him. And so just trying to grasp that the whole way the whole team function, work, it'll be completely new to him. So really struggled with that, and it showed in qualifying session. Just didn't have the pace at all. 5 places behind his teammate Alex Albon, who did a brilliant job to get into P10. The 2 Austin Martins, and they've struggled, haven't they? They have dropped down from where they are. 14th for Lance Stroll. Fernando Alonso outqualifies Lance Stroll for the first time this season in 13th place. Nico Hülkenberg with a brilliant lap, P12. The best that we've seen from him. Finally, the Nico Hülkenberg we know has stood up. What we kind of expected from him. A really, really good lap from him. And Ocon in 11th, 6 places up. Then Ollie Behrman, another one that's just outside the points, and be hoping that they can do something, that Haas team, to try and get them into points. Going to be a difficult one for him because that Haas isn't good in race conditions. The fastest in that session was Lando Norris, Max Verstappen in second, and Oscar Piastri in third. And the McLarens looked ominous in that session. They really were miles faster than anyone else, really. Max was with the surprise, as he is always, to put that in P2. And the star of that session, Isaac Hadjar. That guy was brilliant. A P4 from him. He just was really in the groove going into this qualifying session for the race. And then we jump to the big one, Q3, and the man on pole position, no other than OP1, Oscar Piastri. Number one, absolutely brilliant lap from him. His first run was mega, and everybody else in the second run didn't really improve on their lap times, and it was that first run which absolutely set him apart, although he was the only one that actually went faster in his second run by about a tenth, and it proved absolutely crucial in the end, because had he not improved, the man behind him would have nicked pole position. So a really crucial second run. Important that he improved by just 87 thousandths of a second. Russell was 82 thousandths of a second behind in the end, so it would have been so close up at the front but for that lap. So Oscar did it when it counted, put McLaren back up at the front. This guy's been brilliant. We've all been talking about how great Lando Norris is after Australia, and rightly so, to be honest with you. And Oscar Piastri has done a tremendous job. A really, really solid, clean lap from him. Gets up into P1. The best place to start, as we've seen from the sprint race. And if it goes as the sprint did, he'll be crucial that he holds on to that first position at the start. And then he's just got to manage from tyres from there. And I think, actually, was it the fact that the McLarens were stuck behind guys in front, and that's why they struggled? We'll find out how the race pans out for them tomorrow. Different prospects altogether, actually, because they're much more heavier on fuel than we've seen in the sprint, and you can just pit and change tyres, so strategy calls will be important, but the fact that they've got two of them right up there at the front really helped them. George Russell with an absolute banging lap. How he pulled this one off. He made 6 tenths up on his lap from Q2 into Q1, which was this guy. He's shown it last season where he dominated Lewis Hamilton in qualifying. He is got it when it comes to the one lap pace. He just absolutely pulled it all together. What a lap. We praise Max Verstappen for doing this stuff like this, and rightly so. George should get his merits and his flowers for this one too. Absolutely banging. Put that Mercedes. I was jumping out my seat when I seen that one come out. What a lap. Brilliant. He'll be just hoping he can get a good start. He was so confident, actually, in the Mercedes going into the sprint that, we'll be looking to go forward. We're really happy with his long runs. And will we see that in the race tomorrow? Because it didn't come to the fore in the sprint really at all for him. In the same way that he wasn't really catching Max Verstappen. He had clear air. He got past Charles Leclerc crucially on lap 1, and then didn't really do anything from there in the sprint. Will it be different for them in the race? Who knows? Different, like I said already, different tyre weight of the car, different track conditions, temperatures up, track will be more rubbered in, so there's a lot of different factors of how he'll pan out in the end, but a brilliant lap from him. Third place, Lando Norris, a tenth and a half behind Oscar Piastri. Just didn't get his last run as clean as he'd like, but that's all it takes. It's so close up at the front that we could have seen, like I said, George Russell nick pole position. So that's how close it is. It's been built up as a big, tight season 25, and the first two races have absolutely proven that. Qualifying as crazy as we saw last year, so different from what we've seen in the sprints and what we're seeing in the main qualifying as well, where we've seen Lewis Hamilton dominate that, and it was a tricky one for the Ferraris. They just couldn't get what we'd seen in the sprint. Track condition changes, all that sort of stuff, and just slight differences in setup or just slightly going the wrong way, and you're suddenly looking, well, you're absolutely nowhere. And then one race or 1 minute you're looking at title contenders, so it can easily and quickly flip on its head. Norris is going to have the DRS down into the turn 1 and turn 14s tomorrow. He'll be hoping that he rectifies the mistake that he did in the sprint lap 1, hoping he can just get up, and he'll be crucial actually that he passes George Russell. He doesn't want to get stuck behind him too long like we've seen him with Stroll, because Oscar will manage his tyres, have the better of the pit options when it comes to that, and it'll be a hard job to beat his teammate from there, and he can't be stuck behind Russell too long because of the way that McLaren has looked and should go, and should is a big one at the moment because nothing's gone as it has been expected so far this season. The McLaren should be quick, and they've shown that in the long runs in the pre-practice and all throughout what we've kind of expected from them. And so Lando Norris got a real job in his hands, and he'll be looking in his mirrors because who's behind him? None other than Max Verstappen. Another one. He'll be happy actually. He was fairly happy with where he was. Didn't expect to be on pole position. Was never really in the fight, but he just does enough. Right behind, damage limitation absolutely every time. And this is why this guy is tipped to be potentially soon to be 5-time world champion, 5 in a row. Absolute megastar. He's not got the car of where it needs to be. There's absolutely clear on that. But just to roll up, yes, pick off the odd points of his championship of the championship lead like we saw in the sprint race, and right behind him for the race tomorrow, snapping on your heels, make any mistakes and Max Verstappen is there to eat you. He is exactly what you want of a 5-time and what you expect of a 4-time world champion. This guy is brilliant. As much as you can have your haters and all this sort of nonsense that you see in Formula 1 nowadays, it'll be brilliant to see, and he lines up right behind him Lewis Hamilton in 5th place. Well, what a difference of what you've seen in the sprint and the sprint quali. The Ferraris really struggled throughout the whole of the qualifying session. Q1 they were 6-7 tenths off. In Q2 they looked miles away, 7 tenths off. So you were thinking that, geez, at one point it looked like in Q1 Lewis Hamilton could have made himself out in Q1, just about straight through in Q2 also. But then he's beaten his teammate, the best qualifier we've all been bigged up of Charles Leclerc, and he's done it again. Put himself in a good position. He'll be, again, the start will be crucial. Doesn't want to get stuck behind Verstappen, because if he is, I think he'll find it difficult to pass him. Although they did look very, very good on their tyres in the sprint, Lewis Hamilton especially. And we've seen Charles Leclerc come strong at the end of the sprint race, also getting fiery and feisty. So could we see them more set up for the race and just to manage the tyres better? And that's why they've probably taken a bit of a hit in qualifying to set up for the race. You know, all these things are questions, and answers we'll find out, no doubt, in the race tomorrow. But he's put himself in a decent enough position, but he'll be disappointed considering what a great weekend so far he's had with sprint pole and the sprint win. It'll be interesting to see how he holds on there. Like I said, Charles Leclerc lines up in 6th place. He was disappointed with his lap, a little bit scruffy. He would, throughout the whole session, wasn't he? Made to do another run in Q1, just made it through. With a really good second lap in Q1 actually to make sure he got through into Q2. His Q2 run was much more smoother. A very, very good first lap. Was fairly comfortable to get into Q1. And then, like I say, just didn't come together, and he's been out-qualified by Lewis Hamilton again. He'll be looking at that thinking, Lewis Hamilton was meant to be the guy that's, the one in the race, and I should be comfortably beating him in qualifying. It's not happened. Charles Leclerc will be scratching his head on that one. It'll be interesting to see how them two fight and battle tomorrow. Line astern tomorrow next to each other on the grid. Interested on that one. And then we get to the star of the qualifying session, Isaac Hadjar with a P7. He did it in Q1, he did it in Q2, and he's beaten Yuki Tsunoda in Q3. What a lap this guy has done. Like I said, with all the rookies, they need to show that they're fast over one lap. I said that at the start of the season, and that's really what it comes down to. They need to show they've got one lap pace. You can Need to show you've got raw pace. That's all we're looking at for the rookies at this early part of the season. This guy has been absolutely smashing it on that side of things. Yes, the big mistake we'll talk about in Australia, needs to put that right for the race, and really hope he can just bring it home. And if he can hold on and beat his more experienced teammate, he's done that. And this is why we saw Christian Horner sort of say, we think this guy's got the pace, and if he can be close and close enough, he's got a bigger ceiling than what we've seen with Yuki Tsunoda, and potentially why we might see Yuki out to get another young pretender in there to say, look, this is the ceiling that we've got. And Yuki is a big barometer to go off. This guy is massively experienced in F1, massively experienced within this team. And we talk about Mr. Ferrari Charles Leclerc, Yuki Tsunoda is Mr. Racing Bulls. And we don't get to say that about many people in that Racing Bull team, because it's a junior team to the Red Bull. They're meant to come in and move up. But this guy's held that seat. Should he have been given the Red Bull seat when he's looking at Liam Lawson struggling? He's probably thinking, I'm looking good here, aren't I? Me and this Racing Bulls, or two Racing Bulls, out qualifying the Red Bull of Lawson. Points more to that car being really, really difficult to drive than Lawson. He is doing a bad job, there's no two hiding behind that, but how too much would these two fare in that car? It looks like an absolutely dog of a car to drive if you're not Max Verstappen. The Racing Bulls, they have said it's more tamer of the big bull, isn't it? It's not the big angry blue bull that we see of the Red Bull, and this nice white one, a bit easier to drive. And Isaac, well, he's done an absolute brilliant job so far. Put behind him is embarrassing, and anything but embarrassing this weekend. Mr. Helmut Marko in the Chinese Grand Prix qualifying session absolutely comfortably beats Liam Lawson, the man that you put in that number one seat or second seat in Red Bull. So hats off to him, a great job from him. Kimi Antonelli in 8th place. He's also, well, we're disappointed actually. He's 6 places behind George Russell. I think he's just going to put his cut off. He just top his cap to his teammate George Russell. The words came out eventually, and that one, just wasn't really at home like we've seen in Australia. Not really on the pace of George Russell throughout much of the session so far, the sessions we've seen so far in China. But a solid enough race, probably where we wouldn't have been too far of where we expected him to be. I think they're disappointed that he's been beaten by a Racing Bulls who would expected to be ahead of them, but only 1 place down on that. It'll be interesting to see. He's been one of the most impressive rookies by a country mile so far, and he's shown he can do it in the races, so it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. And well, he's got a tough one to do to beat his teammate who's 6 places up, but it'll be interesting to see how he gets on now that we have more of a set standard dry race weekend overall. 9th place, Yuki Tsunoda. He was really disappointed with his Q3 session overall. The Racing Bulls looked strong, and he probably thinking that Mercedes ahead of me was there for the taking, and he probably should have been about ahead of his teammate. He made a big mistake on his final run, which he was up on at the time, and that really cost him a better qualifying position in the end. And yeah, a little bit of pressure on Yuki when it comes to these things, isn't it? He needs to show that, he's comfortably better than Isaac Hadjar, and already we've seen Isaac coming up and beating him in qualifying session. And Yuki needs to show that he's got this ceiling that is right up there at the top and deserves to be in that number one car or the number one team in the second seat at Red Bull. So overall, it'll be more about the race setup now. Can he beat his teammate and hold on for some good points? The Racing Bulls has looked strong, and I do expect them to hold on to that points positions in the race tomorrow, all going well off the line. And then 10th place, Alex Albon, with a really, really good lap. He was so happy with that, got himself into Q10. A fantastic job from him in that Williams. He'll really be just hoping, can he do enough? He's got the Haas of Ocon. I expect them to beat them, but Williams were really hard on their tyres. As we've seen them struggle with their tyres and how hard they are on the tyres through much of last season, that hasn't really gone away this season. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out in the race. He did really well in the sprint race to manage his tyres well, much more so than Carlos Sainz, who had to pit in the sprint race, which was absolutely insane. And so Yeah, can he do enough just to hold on to points? I think it'll be tough, but behind him, he's got guys that you think they're in the battle with them. It looks really, really close. So the surprise here has been how good the Sauber, and especially in the hands of Hulkenberg, has been. But can he do it in the race tomorrow? Let's see. But Albon holds on and gets P10, a really good starting position from him. He'll be hoping he can at least hold on for some points. And there we have it. Well, getting to my predictions for that qualifying session, I thought Piastri would be on pole, Norris second, and Verstappen third. And all the world, it looked like I'd be bang on with that one until George Russell pulled up in that lap. Absolutely threw my predictions out of the water. I was going on for a full sweep of all three. George with a tremendous lap. Hats off to him. But there we have it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you on the next one.